true professional.
Stan, come in.
Hi, Stan.
Well, hello. How are you?
Hi, Stan. Nice to meet you.
Right.
Well, ladies, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good luck at the after party later
Thank
on.
you. We're going to put a pie and chips,
but
pie and
Hope they
mash.
can go and heat it up for us now.
You don't have to. Let Stan have a mic, and yeah, we can have your food now. We can let you digest
Mike.
it. Next.
Girls, enjoy. Thanks very much.
Stan,
You
how are you,
well?
mate?
Come and sit in with you.
Come and have a
Yeah,
seat,
jump
mate.
in, Stan.
How
These
are
are very
you?
trendy mics. Come on in. Come closer.
Come closer,
Come
man.
closer. See how
Look,
broadcasting's done.
He knows what he's doing on the social scene.
We've got
He's
M&Ms.
going on all the time.
That's yourself, by all means. So, Stan, it's been an interesting year since we spoke to you at the event
It
this
has.
time last year.
And I remember my speech was "Don't buy the Sun."
It was.
And
Went
the
down
s- and
particularly
the Sun,
well.
And the Sun ended up buying Talksport, and I'm toast. But I don't regret it. Don't buy the Sun.
exactly
Don't do.
correct.
Yeah, it's been a great year. Went to the European Championships. The highest listening figures for the shows that I did, post-match phone-ins, and on Mondays. Got back after the Euros. Knew that News UK had bought the station. So my position was untenable. Collymore left, and it
Was
a
there any
case of-
conversation between yourself and Colin over?
No, not really. I just said to him, "Well done for sticking to your guns," because he obviously made a point about he was there. He was still there in July, August, September, and he decided to walk away. So fair play to him. So I was on holiday in Greece and thought, I want to continue broadcasting. Won the Sony Awards, Sports Journalism Awards, this award last year, which meant a lot to me, this award last year, because you're essentially amongst, and you guys as well, people that are getting off their arses, doing their own thing and talking and engaging with football fans. I have come into contact with so many broadcasters on traditional means, television and radio, turn up 5 minutes beforehand, got an open up copy of a tabloid, not interested in engaging with the audience, not interested in giving any insight. So to be amongst people and to watch a lot of you bloggers develop and grow is an inspiration to me. So it was about August time and I thought, right, I'm going to, an app, makes sense, we've all got apps.
Yeah.
I kind of wish I hadn't now, in a way,
our
because
own
it's kind of like,
apps,
24/7. Football is on my mind, the business aspect of it is on my mind. My agent Kate's done an incredible job, she's a big Sheffield Wednesday fan. A very small group of us, and we launched the app about 3 weeks ago. An incredible number have downloaded it. We're top of the podcast charts in the UK. We've done our first outside broadcast at Wembley for the England-Scotland game the other day. So it's quite bewildering, really. And doing it yourself is completely different to doing it with somebody else.
Yeah. But you were here last year, so you got to meet a hell of a lot of people who do it on their own. Did that allow you to kind of have the confidence to go, I don't need Talksport, I don't need these things, I can do it on my own?
I think I've always been one of those people that they call like an early adopter, so with phones and technology, it's just something that really interests me. But I remember looking at a lot of the statistics around, I was just chatting to some of the Bleacher Report guys. One of them worked for the Mirror that used to sort of ghost my column. I'd have a chat with him, Dino, and he's now at Bleacher Report. He's moved from the Mirror to Bleacher Report. And he said 85% of their content, I mean, they are online, they're on desktop, and they're on app, is through their app. And the numbers that are making the leap from traditional means, because, look, we all live busy lives, but when a game is played now, and this is what I think we're seeing with things like Sky's figures going down, NFL figures going down watching, is that there used to be something called appointment to view. Game was on at 4 o'clock, everybody would watch it, and that was it. Now, because traditional mainstream media has been forced, mostly with things like Twitter, where people were posting goals within a second of them being scored, they've done it. Yeah. So on Sky's app, basically, you can see the goal within 5 minutes of it. So what's the point of sitting down and watching a game, particularly if it's a poor game? So I think that the way that people are consuming content has massively changed. The statistics suggest that 20 minutes, half an hour is most people's kind of limit now when they're, depending on what they're watching. So why would you sit down and listen to a 3-hour radio station? Why would you sit down and watch a 2-hour television programme? The answer is we don't anymore. And so these guys, last year, chatting to them, I was really surprised how young a lot of them were, how incredibly entrepreneurial they were to say, you know what, my voice is as good as is in terms of my football knowledge and football content and what I can do with technology, therefore I'm going to do it. And I've seen this particular award ceremony double in size in 1 year. I mean, there's 350 across the road at Hotel Football. Yeah. There's 700 here tonight, which is what you would get for a football writers' dinner.
Yeah. No, it's genuinely phenomenal.
There's a good few
as well, actually. If the only man who's picked up awards that they've won more than me so far tonight has been Stan. So fair play. I thought I was going to be the king of that tonight.
We've got to ask your opinion on a few bits and
yes,
pieces.
Please do.
Because firstly, will Liverpool win the league? Sean Walker's asking that one.
They've got a hell of a chance. I mean, I think there are a lot of it is always going to boil down to the last third of the season, squad depth, what happens if 2 or 3 key players get injured or lose form, and the players that then come in, do they have the ability to be able to play at the same kind of level? If you don't believe me, look at Harry Kane with Spurs. Heung-min Son comes in for a couple of games, he's outstanding, then falls away and they're struggling to score goals, and I think they've scored a half of the amount of goals that Liverpool have in the time that Harry Kane's been out. But they're incredibly excited to watch. They've got a manager that is somebody that you'd want to follow, but I would imagine that in the dressing room as well, he doesn't take any BS. I think that sometimes when he's come out and he has been a little bit prickly, you think, oh, he has got that side to him. Yeah. But absolutely they can, without a doubt. I think they're one of 4 or 5 clubs that can realistically win the league.
Ben Rowley asks, Stan, who is the best player in the Premier League right now?
Right now, it's a very difficult one because it depends on what kind of... I mean, I've been really impressed with Shkodran Mustafi at Arsenal. He's settled in as a central defender. David De Gea as a goalkeeper. I think
if you had to pay money to watch a player, which anyone in the Premier League, you think, my God, I'd love to just
I think
go and watch
at their very best, you're probably still looking at Eden Hazard because he's got that ability to take the ball in the halfway line, slalom past people and do something special. You're probably still looking at players like Mesut Ozil that I've been very critical of, but there's no doubt that he has a real talent and a real ability to be able to assist.
You've been critical of Mesut Ozil. How's that gone down for you online?
Yeah, not very well, especially with the Arsenal online family, which is probably the biggest in the country in terms of, all I said is that he has such an amazing ability. You know, when you see, and you used to watch players like Graham Souness that had ability, but they had that something that they could run a game. He's quite a quiet lad, and sometimes in games I want to see him puff his chest out and be a Maradona figure for want of it. Not many people can do that, but I think he's got the ability to be able to transcend just being a nice, guy that scores 3 against Ludogorets and scores a great goal against Ludogorets. I want to see him do it against Barcelona, against Bayern, against Liverpool at Anfield when it really matters.
It's too late to dig yourself out now.
I know. I did all right though.
I might be digging a hole for myself here, but there's probably some aspects in the frustration that Arsenal fans have about Arsenal that they're the exact same frustrations that you have with Mesut Ozil, because
it's shared by Arsenal fans. Yeah. Depending if Arsenal go on a run now of 4 games and they don't win, the criticism will be not only of Arsene Wenger but also of key players like Alexis Sanchez, like Theo Walcott, like Olivier Giroud, like Mesut Ozil.
It's similar to us with Liverpool, with Phil Coutinho. You look at the guy and he's got all the talent in the world. This season's the first time though you can say, well, that's consistent. He's doing it week in, week out. He had a thing for us for years where you go 3 or 4 games and you'd be like, oh, has he got exactly what you're saying there?
Consistency.
Exactly. It's all well and good when you turn up, because Coutinho turned up for the big games, which is great because you need your guys to turn up on the big games. But he wasn't turning up he wasn't being a flat track bully, which is your best players. Cristiano Ronaldo used to do for Man United for fun, sticking in 40-yard strikes against Burnley and what have you. And they're the guys who win league titles for you, and that could be the difference maker. Mesut Ozil seems to be finding that consistency. Coutinho seems to be finding it. So, Arsenal fans, Please don't tweet me tonight. This is meant to be a celebration, Arsenal fans.
Just to go back quite a bit, actually, I guess, but there's a comment here, Stan, the god of Periscope. And you had...
Journalist!
Amazing. That's what I want to talk about.
That got me out of being tear gas, trust me, because the old Bill, I was following them around, obviously, in France.
What do you think there, Stan?
I actually found it really interesting. Funnily enough, I spoke to a couple of the lads who were with Republic of Ireland, Northern Ireland and England camps, and a lot of the lads were watching it live and they're going, oh, what the hell's he doing?
Because I missed that because I was there as well and getting tear gas.
Well, I just wanted to... We were in a hotel in the old port in Marseille, and I walked down and there was probably 20 trucks with the water cannon. And I thought I just want to have a look around, because England fans do get a really negative rap. And a lot of them hadn't booked hotels because they played whoever it is that we played, and they were waiting, as they do, till 6 o'clock in the morning, the first flight, to get them out. So a lot of them were just sitting on corners. And I saw about 400 locals in the main square by the port, and a whistle went. And they all went arrowing up alleyways, just giving people licks up the alleyways. So I followed it. And I was at the back, and then all of a sudden the police that were stood 40 yards away just started throwing tear gas into everything. So that when England played, I don't know, it was England played Wales, and we're in Lille, and of course England and Wales fans were all in very good spirits. Little bit of a concern about were there going to be any Russian fans, and we saw 5 or 6 Russian fans at the end of the road chuck a couple of bottles and run off. 3,000 people then follow them. So that I'm just going to follow them and see where they go. And there are a few nuggets in there. There's a lad, an English lad, knocking people's car windows, which I thought, that's people's property, mate. And I remember saying, what a dick. And then following somebody else around, and he had a chair. And then we got to a point where there was a standoff with the police. A Russian fan threw a bottle. The police went and nicked him, and then it all let loose. But people say, you know, was it scary? It wasn't, because you're amongst a lot of people going, what's Stan Collymore doing running around with us with his hoodie on? But also it's a great use of the tool, and whether it be for the American elections, which a lot of people were out following marches, and whether it be somebody giving tips on any number of things. I think Periscope is a fantastic tool that, of course, now has opened its doors to broadcasters to be able to use in a more professional way.
Yeah, absolutely.
And just point out that Stan's probably got, again, more viewers on his phone than we have.
No, I bet him nice. We're all in it together.
I guess there was that side of it at the Euros. The other side was really disappointing, as we very well know. Gareth Southgate. Do you play with Gareth Southgate?
Yes, I was at. We basically made. He made his full debut, and I made my away debut at Anfield for Crystal Palace. We basically grew up together in the Crystal Palace reserve team, and then he was my captain at Aston Villa. So we know each other very well. We text each other. I wished him luck on the job. Going to sit down and have a coffee with him in the next 2 or 3 weeks.
I must admit that, because I'm no great England fan. It's just part of
your Scouse, not English.
I am Stan.
Stan knows. But no, so I don't really follow it massively. But I must admit, immediately your reaction is kind of like. But then, you know, I caught a little bit of the games recently, and I saw him on the touchline, and you know what, I just enjoyed the way he reacted to stuff. There was one of the goals where he's turning around and screaming.
And let's be honest, if we are serious about having a football home, St George's Park, which is woefully underused, which we were promised was going to be a footballing home for coaches, for talent, for youngsters, is that then we've got to start pushing people towards the front of the queue to be able to
It's got to be a
get
pathway.
the jobs.
There has to be a pathway.
So I'm a big fan of Gareth. I know he had a tough time at Middlesbrough, but he was managing Middlesbrough that had not long, I think, well, they were a Premier League staple for a while. He'd won trophies with them. While Pep Guardiola was managing Barcelona B, under the radar. Yeah. So we either say, right, we're going to push this guy to the front and see whether he sink or swim, or we pay £5 or £6 million for another 60-something European manager that's just willing to top up their pension, and then they go and manage Azerbaijan, and then they go and manage Australia. So I'd much rather stick my neck out and say, let's at least support this guy. It was a very good result against the Scots. It was a decent performance at times against the Spanish, so support him.
And because you played with him so much, what's he like as a person? Because I think some people might go,
yes man.
He's a little bit, he's a yes man, he's weak, but then you see that passion.
Liverpool played Villa in an FA Cup semi-final here at Old Trafford, and he was marking me, and because we're at Crystal Palace, he was always the goody two-shoes and I was always the naughty one, so not a lot's changed there. Genuinely. So it was no surprise that he was always viewed as a very kind of, you know, dependable person. But I can remember us knocking 7 bells out of each other in that game here at Old Trafford, because he wanted to win a cup semi-final, I wanted to win a cup semi-final, we ended up winning it, and we went head against each other. It got nasty at times, but once the whistle blew, shook hands and got on. So he's nobody's yes man. I think he's very polite, and there's nothing wrong with being polite. Yeah. So let's give him a bit of support.
If it isn't him, does the manager...
You're interested?
Does the manager need to be English? Because it's something that I believe I think it's a reflection of
yes,
your
because we've
setup.
got because we've got a home at St George's Park that is there quite simply to be able to push forward English coaching talent, English players of all levels and of both sexes. And if we don't do that, then what's the point of having the centre? I'm a big fan of people like Arsene Wenger and Jose Mourinho going to St George's Park and giving seminars and coaching young coaches like Sean Dyche and Eddie Howe and Gareth Southgate. It's barely used, the place, except for the women's team use it a lot and some of the underage teams. It's our Clairefontaine, it's our soccer city, so let's use it. And if we're going to use it, then we need to promote it. If we're going to promote it, then we need to promote people that have been in the system for quite a number of years. There's another issue very briefly about black coaches. There's a full international, one of the most famous players that we've ever produced. Got all of his badges, spoke to him the other day, and he sent off 27 applications and had 3 replies in 7 or 8 years. So that system isn't working. I'm not just talking for black coaches, but for English or British coaches generally. So a start might be, if this man, Gareth Southgate, can be even remotely successful, then others may follow. That's the aim.
Can he be successful?
I think so. I think that the aims are rock bottom, aren't they? I mean, qualify
it's
to get to...
confusing, I don't know. People want us to win.
Well, I was talking to them the other day. What are the aims and ambitions? Qualify from this group, which we should do. Yeah. And get out to be either 1 or 2 in a World Cup group, which means officially the latter stages, so the last 16. Quarter-finals, semi-finals, forget it. The aim is to qualify and then finish top 2 in the group, have some good experience of playing different teams from different zones that play in a different way, and let's go from there, because he will still be, by the time Russia comes around, he'll be about 48, which is still quite young for a coach.
Yeah, I think well, it sounds like they're going to go up on stage in a moment. So I think we've got a couple more moments left. We'll get the shout. James, do you want to just quickly do the nominees for best social football accounts?
Absolutely. Let me just get it. Here we go. So yeah, best social.
We're going live in about
10 seconds. Best social football account. Bleacher Report, Chelsea HQ, Empire of the Gods. Next, haven't got time for the rest. But good luck to all the nominees. Thank you to Stan. Back to presenters.